Hello, good morning. This is Michael Ella, and today I would like to discuss about what is .NET and maybe try to answer also the question why there's .NET. And in this presentation, I'll try to give you a higher level understanding of .NET and how somehow it evolves and where it's going in the future. Okay, let's start. Okay, today .NET, this is what .NET means, okay? I'm just going to read this definition that I got from Microsoft, then I'm going to break it down for you. .NET is a free, cross-platform, open source developer platform for building many different types of applications. With .NET, you can use multiple languages, editors, and libraries to build for web, mobile, desktop, gaming, and IoT or Internet of Things. Okay, this is what .NET is today. It is free and it is cross-platform. That means it can run from different operating system and devices. It is open source. .NET is now open source. Okay, it is shared on GitHub. As you know, Microsoft just purchased GitHub and made it integrated it on their technologies. So .NET is now uploaded on GitHub. It is a platform. It is not a programming language. It is a platform. It is a layer, another layer on your computer system that helps you make it easy for us developers to develop programs. Okay, you can use any language, any editors and libraries for building website. And also, you can use only one language, like C#, for example, to develop any kind of applications from Windows to mobile to servers and other operating system like Linux or Mac. Okay, that's now possible. That's made possible by .NET. Okay, as you can see on this image, this is what .NET today. There's a lot of framework. You see, Windows Platform, Windows Forms, WC App, Windows Store, Windows Phone. There's a lot of framework here. ASP.NET Core. So these are all made in order for Microsoft to be able to develop applications on different framework or systems. The original .NET is a .NET framework. So when I started coding, luckily, Microsoft started introducing .NET. Okay, so a transition from coding from a functional programming in VB6 or VBA was made easy when I started coding object-oriented programming. Okay, started with .NET, so one version, and I think it stops at 4.6.2. .NET Framework stops at point. Then the next version is .NET Core 1.0. Then we have this summary. So .NET originally is made because of Microsoft's needs to survive. Visual Basic 6 reached its limits. Okay, it's somehow an object-oriented programming, but it's not a true object-oriented programming, and it's based on .com technologies. And coding those days are real difficult. It's not as easy as today to compile and deploy your application. Before, you need to worry about so many things like your operating system, the hardware on your machines. But now everything is taken care of .NET. Okay, so you don't have to worry about your machine. You need just to worry about your program and what you want to do. So that's the advantage of .NET. So I think .NET was created also because there's this standardization for coding. The ECMA standards. So Microsoft needs to comply to that standard. So they created this .NET standard, okay, to make it for them to be able to comply with the standard, and also for some security reasons. Before, when you code, you can directly accessing drivers and operating system without .NET. But now you the way you code, you have to access or code using .NET APIs, and then .NET will use operating systems API or any kind of driver. So it's some kind of making it secure, for Microsoft trying to make it secure for the machines, or for our programs not to do something stupid on the machine. Okay, so now, and also make it, of course, a lot easier to code using .NET. Okay, so it started with .NET. It is .NET framework. It's a full version of .NET. And .NET Xamarin came because of mobile. It is a monoclass array. So actually, Microsoft purchased Xamarin in order to compete with mobile technologies like iOS and Android, and also for Xbox. So Xamarin is used for small runtimes, smaller devices. Okay, so that's the mainly use for that. So because one of the big business of Microsoft is a profitable business is Xbox, so they use that technology for that. And then came .NET Core 1.0 or .NET Core. So because Amazon Web Services, Google Clouds, and also Apple Clouds is emerging and it's becoming the trend. Okay, it's becoming a lot secure or cost efficient to deploy your application on the cloud. Also Salesforce is on the cloud. So companies are moving to the cloud, and even everything that we do is now, it's more cost efficient really to use the cloud nowadays, and it's more, the cloud is more secure, and it's a lot better to use it than having your own data center. So that's why there's .NET Core. This is for the cloud. So it is a more modular and cross-platform .NET. It is a subset of .NET framework. So .NET has a lot of APIs and system libraries that it needs to install. But .NET Core, it just needs to install what is necessary. Okay, and it works on all platforms. Okay, it's Microsoft needs to do that in order to compete with other technologies, for AWS, for Google, and of course still competing with Java, because Java is the right ones, and it will deploy and run in any machines as well. So that's .NET, and it has common layers. So we are going to discuss this more on details later. Okay, the first, as I said, the first data framework is called data framework. It is a managed execution environment for Windows that provides a variety of services to its running apps. It consists of two major components: the Common Language Runtime, CLR, which is the execution engine that handles running apps, and the data framework, and the .NET Framework Class Library, which provides a library for tested, reusable code that developers can call from their own apps. Okay, it's a managed everything. Every code that's written in .NET is a managed execution. So .NET manage your code. You no longer have to worry about memory management, because .NET will do that for you. Okay, there's a lot of things that .NET will do on the back end to make it easy for us to develop codes. So they manage everything, almost everything, on the back end. Okay, so before you have to consider everything, you have to use memory, you have to pre-memory. You have to worry a lot of that in the past, but now .NET will do that for you. So that's the job of the common language runtime. One of the job, okay? .NET Framework Library, these are a collection of libraries that you can use in order for you to use the Windows forms or web forms or any other forms that you see today that are available. Okay, let's discuss the features of .NET memory management. It does the memory management for you. It's some kind of garbage collection. It cleans the memory as soon as you release the variable, stop using the variable, it will release the memory. So it manages the memory allocation and everything. Okay, so it's up to .NET to do that. Then common type system, they enforce this. So all languages uses the same type. Okay, example, the data type means the same thing for all any kind of languages. Okay, extensive class library. This is called also the framework class library or basic class library. So there's a lot of classes that you can use in .NET that make it easy for you to work, like the systems. There's a lot of them. So if you do some research, you will see there's a lot of them. Maybe you're already using them, just not aware of it. Okay, so that's what you use in order to build applications. Development framework and libraries. So you can also, there's a lot of also frameworks within frameworks, like the entity framework and also the ASP framework or ASP libraries you use for building web, the ADO.NET, which you use for connecting to database sources or data sources. Of course, the link queue, which you use a framework, a language you use in entity framework to, query data from different form of sources, not just database, but also files and other JSON or any kind of data sources. Then language interoperability. That means if you write something, a library, in C#, you can also use that on VB.NET, okay? Because of how .NET is designed, okay? That's made it possible, the common type system, common runtime, that made it possible for it to have a language interoperability, okay? Version compatibility, of course, versioning. Every time they version up, your code will still run. It's still compatible to the all about that. Okay, version 1 still will run on .NET 4.7, 4.1. Okay, side-by-side execution, that means different version of .NET could run on one machine. Okay, so they are stored in different folders, so you can target different .NET framework on your application to run. Multi-targeting or .NET standard. This .NET standard is the standard for unifying all the frameworks. So you can use .NET standard to target different technologies, different frameworks of .NET. Okay, and now let's move to another slide. So this is the common language infrastructure. So in .NET framework, there's a common infrastructure, okay? Whatever language you have, they use common language specification, CLS, okay? Then they follow common type system, okay? Then they use the same common class library. Whatever you do, ASP.NET, ADO.NET, WinForms console, they use the same libraries. So that when you compile them, common language runtime, they will compile into a native code. All of them will be compiled on the same intermediate language. Okay, that's what CLR we're going to do. So we'll discuss this further later. Okay, this is the common language runtime. Common language runtime is a runtime environment that manages the interpretation, compilation, and execution of .NET program code. Okay, that's what it does. It also provides services, memory management, exception management, debugging, and security. So it does a lot of things for us to make our coding easy. Okay. Once a specific data compile converts to source, you know, the compiler, each programming language has its own compiler, like C Sharp, right? Uh, this has its own compiler. So there's a program that compiles its own code. When you click the compile or build, it will compile the language to common intermediate language, okay? Previously known as MSIL. Then the CLR compiles the CIL into the machine, okay? So what it does, actually, it knows CLR determine your OS and other parameters in your machine in order to, translate the CIL into an optimized version on your machine. It depends on your machine, okay? That's what it does. So when you compile your program, it's not a machine code. So there's a middle layer. It will just be an intermediate layer language. Then CLR will compile it into a machine code afterwards. Okay. Once that assembly is compiled into native code, it is stored on assembly cache for a specific period of time and then executed. Okay. When it's executed, we call that just-in-time compilation. So it speeds up the process and executions. Okay, that's the cheat. Okay, CLR has the cheat. So it only compiles, depends on the amount. It can be compile all the code or a part of your code. It depends on what it needs. The cheat or the CLR determines what is better for you, for your code to run more optimized. Okay, so it does its job. .NET Core, just like I said, .NET Core is the newest version of the .NET. It's general-purpose, modular, cross-platform, and open-source implementation of the .NET standard. When Microsoft realized that they need to compete, to be able to compete, they need to open source their code or the system. So developers like us can help develop it. Okay, that's the trend nowadays. It has to be open source. It has to be cross-platform, modular. Because right now you need to be able to deploy apps as soon as you can, as fast as possible. You know, that's how it is today nowadays with our apps deployed on the cloud so fast, and users can use them, and you can correct if there's a bug really fast as well. So that is what this is core is all about. Okay, so it runs on different machines, cross-platform, different Linux, and Mac OS and Android, whatever. It's flexible deployment. You can install the core on the Linux machine, or you can just deploy the app with its assemblies on it. Okay, so you can do that. Open source, it is shared. Core is shared online. It's modular, so it's just a small part of .NET. It is basically built for the cloud technologies. Okay, it's built for the future, the .NET Core. When it comes to that mono, this is for small machines. Just as I said before, used when a small runtime is required. Power submarine. You can develop, you know, .NET. You can develop an application using C Sharp, like what I said, using submarine and deploy it in Android and iOS, and it will run. Okay, so that's what it is. Now this comes the .NET standard. The .NET standard, these are various implementations of .NET. Each implementation allows .NET code to execute in different places. Okay, if you use the .NET standard, you can run it Linux, Mac OS, Windows, iOS, Android, and many more. So this is the formal specification of the APIs that are common across all the implementations. So different frameworks, it's on the .NET. Depends on the version of .NET. Okay, let's go to this documentation. Okay, as you can see here, this is the .NET standard documentation in other versions of .NET. Okay, in the version 1, that means anything, any code that runs on the other framework like .NET Core 1.0 framework 4.5 or Mono Xamarin 4.6, then 3 will also run when you use .NET Standard as your framework. Okay, there's a class libraries built in Xamarin iOS 10.0, and you use it on your code using .NET 1.0, it will run. Okay, so different version of .NET supports different version of frameworks. So you just need to be aware about this. What version is supported for each framework. Okay. Now let's get back to the slides. Okay, so let's look another one. This is the .NET documentation or Microsoft documentation, latest documentation. So .NET standard. Okay, so just copy this one. So as you can see here, if you want to know what .NET you're using, you can see what kind of version support it is supporting. Okay, so Unity is this for gaming. Mono, this is for iOS or small devices. .NET Core is for different platform. This is the .NET framework still for Windows only. Okay, so that's .NET framework. So basically, you can use .NET standard to target different machines. So that's what they call multi-targeting. Different framework. You target different framework. Okay. So .NET 5 and beyond. So after .NET Core, there will be Microsoft announced there will be a new platform that they call it .NET 5. Okay, .NET 5. I'm not sure what's the difference between .NET Standard and .NET 5, but yeah, it's a framework where uses supports a lot of technologies. Desktop, web, cloud, mobile, gaming, Internet of Things, and AI. Now, these are amazing. AIs, these are new things. AI, Internet of Things, and cloud. These are the latest technology that forced Microsoft to, change its framework to Core and now to .NET 5. So one thing I forgot is that in .NET, you use only one tool to code. Before you need a lot of different IDEs, but now just need one Visual Studio. But there are different versions of Visual Studio, okay? Visual Studio, this is the main Visual Studio, Professional, and Enterprise. And this is the open source Visual Studio Code. This is used for lightweight. And for Mac, there's also Visual Studio Community. I forgot about that. That's a free version of Visual Studio. Okay, so this is .NET 5 standard. That's interesting. So this is something you need to consider when coding. You have to, in the future move to .NET 5. So let's see the roadmap for .NET. Okay, this is the plan. Okay, so they will release Core 2.1, then 2.3.1, then it will stop there. After Core 3.1, it's going to be .NET 5. Then every year they will release a new version of .NET. Okay, so that's .NET all about. I hope you learned something from this blog that I have. So thank you very much for watching, and see you another time.